Hey, this is Jeffrey Pepper Rogers here for acoustic guitar with a lesson on soloing by shapes. So when you play a solo on guitar, ideally you want to be able to travel anywhere and find lines and riffs that mesh with the song. The challenge is finding that level of familiarity and comfort on the neck, especially when you get away from the low positions. So for me, the key is using chord shapes. You can build solos from scales and modes, but for the kind of soloing I like to do, where the notes change to reflect the underlying chords, shapes are the most useful tool. If, for instance, you're soloing over a G chord, and you can visualize a G chord in open position and a G chord at the 3rd fret, and at the 5th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret, you've got a big roadmap of possibilities of what and where to play. So navigating the guitar by shapes is a common strategy. It's the basis of the caged system, where you orient yourself by applying the basic open chord shapes of C, A, G, E, and D up the neck. A visual system like this just makes sense on an instrument like the guitar, which is not linear like a piano and not even tuned symmetrically all the way across like on a mandolin or a fiddle. So in this lesson, you're going to see how you can use chord shapes to build great sounding solos and move confidently up and down the neck. So first thing, need something to solo over, and in this lesson we're going to be using the same 4-bar progression throughout, just D, A, B minor, and G, one measure each. It's a very common 1-5-6-4 progression as heard in tons of songs. For instance, Let It Be, the Beatles, I'm Yours by Jason Mraz, Brandi Carlile's The Story, Dan Burns' God Said No. So first, here's the progression played in a straightforward rock style. I'll play it a few times through so that if you want, you can use this as your rhythm track to solo over when you practice the soloing examples. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's get started with some soloing. This first example, all the phrases just use the top 3 strings of the D, A, B minor, and G chord fingerings down in open position. It's all based on arpeggios. Keep in mind in this example and all the examples in this lesson, you don't need to hold down the full chord fingerings. Just press down the strings that you need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now let's go beyond straight arpeggios to develop a stronger melody. Notice in this example how the phrases transition between the chords. The solo is highlighting changes in the harmony. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. let's start moving up the neck. In this next example, here are the shapes that you're using. The D chord is an open C shape over a bar at the 2nd fret, and the A is an open G shape also over a bar at the 2nd fret. The B minor bar chord you might think of as an A minor shape over a bar at the 2nd fret, and the G is an E shape over a bar at the 3rd fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The next example moves further up the neck. Here are the shapes that this solo is based around. This D at the 5th fret, and A also at the 5th fret, B minor up at the 7th fret, and G based at the 5th fret. The solo also adds in a few notes that are not part of those chords, but they are typical chord embellishments. So for instance, on the D, add in that B note on the 1st string. So that is the 6th of a D chord, so a typical chord embellishment. Also on the A, we use this F sharp note on the 2nd string, 7th fret. That is also the 6th of an A chord. And also on the G chord, you use that A note on the 1st string. So that is the 2nd of a G chord. So these are all common chord embellishments. So if you know which notes sound good with chords you can add into chords in open positions, when you move those positions up the neck, you can use those same notes as part of your solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another solo line that's based on chord shapes up at the 7th fret. In contrast to scale-derived solos, often moved by half and whole steps, in this case, the chord shapes help you make bigger and more dramatic leaps. And all you need to do to make it happen is to jump from one string in a shape to another. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another great use of shapes in soloing is for double stops and chordal riffs. In this next example, I'll be using a D shape at the 10th fret, an A at the 9th fret, and then this for the B minor. This is actually a D minor open chord shape moved up to the 9th fret, and then there's a G shape at the 10th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now check out a different kind of double stop. This one using notes from the chord shape that are separated by one string. So you can do that by playing fingerstyle, or if you play with a flat pick, as I am here, play the lower note with the flat pick and the upper note with your middle finger, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now here's a longer example that combines a bunch of ideas from the previous examples into an 8-bar solo. I'm going to start low on the neck, move up and back down, all guided by shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. In all the examples so far, the chord shapes used have, for the most part, been obvious. You're often arpeggiating or outlining the chords. But shapes can also help you stay oriented even when you're playing something less clearly chord-based. Like this last example here, which is a single note melody played high on the neck, which comes out of these chord shapes. There's a D at the 12th fret, an A at the 12th fret, B minor at the 9th fret, and G at the 7th fret. So the chord shapes kind of map out the important notes. They keep you anchored. 1, 2, 3, 4. So to practice this kind of soloing by shape, what you can do is take any song's chord progression and figure out how to play it without a capo at multiple positions. Then try using notes from those chord shapes in a solo, and work on moving smoothly between positions, and search for the notes around the chord shapes that you can add in. The more you do that, the more you practice, the more of a soloing vocabulary that you will develop. And wherever you travel on the neck, you'll find those handy shapes. They're like little signposts letting you know where you are. Once again, for acoustic guitar, I'm Jeffrey Pepper Rogers. Thanks for watching.